Good evening, dear viewers, and welcome to the News Bulletin at 8, brought to you by number news provider Eswatini. I am Nondomiso Vilagata alongside Zaman Zimanze, and here are your top stories. The Minister of ICT says there must be a multi-country collaboration on issues of ICT, which will help grow the telecommunications sector in the SADC region. High Court Judge Justice Maxine Langwenya has sentenced former Minister of Public Works and Transport Ndutuko Dlamini to 65 years behind bars. The Deputy Speaker, Madala Mhlanga, has welcomed back to the House Matsanjeni South Member of Parliament, Honourable Bomba Mamba, following his successful bail application at the High Court. The news in detail. The Minister of ICT, Princess Sekhanyiso, says there must be a multi-country collaboration on issues of ICT, which will help grow the telecommunications sector in the SADC region. The minister was represented by the Principal Secretary in the Ministry, Pesheya Dube, during the 23rd Southern African Telecommunications Association meeting that was held at the Happy Valley, Eswatini on Wednesday.
Members of the Southern Africa Telecommunications Association are in the Kingdom as part of the 23rd Capacity and Traffic Southern Africa meeting, which seeks to share ideas on improving the telecommunications industry. The Minister of ICT, who was represented by the Principal Secretary in the Ministry, Pesheya Dube, says broadband is a fundamental requirement.
Your conference will be focused on ensuring that our multi-country collaborations deliver affordable solutions to the regional populations. The current era of COVID-19 has clearly proven that ICT is at the center of our livelihoods.
The Eswatini Post and Telecommunications MD says there is a need to partner as neighbors and work together and learn from one another now and again.
ICT, we all know, plays a very pivotal role in the socio-economic development of a country. Therefore, we must strive to offer the best affordable solutions at all times. In our bilateral negotiations, it is important that we work towards a win-win for our companies and SADC at large.
Jacob Monodawafa, the SATA Secretary, says the outcome of the meeting must dwell on possible areas of collaboration.
It's us as an industry, we need to motivate for policy development. What are the things we want which can help us achieve our goals and targets?
The theme of the meeting is connecting SADC regionally and internationally through ICT, infrastructure and services. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I am Kian MCB with Smova Shongwe at the Happy Valley, Eswatini.
High Court Judge Justice Maxine Langwenya has sentenced former Minister of Public Works and Transport Ndutuko Dlamini to 65 years behind bars. Dlamini is expected to serve 20 years from this sentence.
On the 12th of December 2023, the former Minister of Public Works and Transport was found guilty on 3 counts of murder and contravening the Arms and Ammunition Act. All the 3 counts of murder, Ndutuko was sentenced to 20 years for each count. On contravening the Arms and Ammunition Act, Ndutuko was sentenced to 5 years imprisonment with an option to pay a fine of 5,000 emalangeni. The sentences are to run concurrently and will take into account the time he spent in pre-trial incarceration. This means Ndutuko will spend 20 years behind bars. The 3 murder counts are that he shot to death 3 members of Liengweni Chiefdom. These are Themba Tsabete School Shong as well as Simon Dlamini. When delivering her judgment, Judge Maxine Langwenya said Ndutuko did not lead evidence in extenuation. She said the Crown made submission supported by affidavit from Indvuna of Liengweni, as well as affidavit from the widows of Themba Tsabete and Simon Dlamini. The judge continues to state that however gratuitous and unnecessary the murders were, they were not premeditated. The judge added that Ndutuko lost his self-control for whatever reason in the emotional charged situation he found himself in. The judge mentioned that from the evidence led during trial, she has no idea why Ndutuko will go to the lengths he did to make widows an offense in broad daylight when he had reported the matter to the police and they had assured him that they were coming to attend to the matter. The judge added that it is her view that substantial term of imprisonment will give Tutuko time to ponder and reflect on what he has done and hopefully realize that no matter the anger, it is not open to anyone to take the law into their own hands. Tutuko was arrested on September 7, 2020 and was released after he was granted bail in March 2021. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla, High Court.
The Deputy Speaker, Madala Mhlanga, has welcomed back to the House Matsanjani South Member of Parliament, Honorable Bomba Mamba, following his successful bail application at the High Court. The legislator is facing an attempted murder charge.
When the House of Assembly resumed for parliamentary work on Wednesday, Deputy Speaker, who is also Mahlangaja Member of Parliament, Madala Mhlanga, welcomed back to the House Matsanjani South Member of Parliament, Bomba Mamba, following him being granted bail last week Thursday for charges including attempted murder. The Honourable House then moved on with the next item on the order paper, which is the tabling of Portfolio Committee's reports on the debate of the Ministry's 2022-2023 annual performance reports and budget estimates for the financial year 2023-2024. The Minister of Finance, Neil Rickenberg, then moved that the House adopts the Scholarship Fund regulations and the SACCO Stabilization Fund regulations. When the House was supposed to get to the motion without notice, moved by the Waluseni Member of Parliament, Sibusiso Dlamini, regarding the qualification tender of Mpangeni Dam, the House asked that the motion be scheduled for the next sitting. The House of Assembly then adjourned. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I am Samkal Suekoza with Sikumbuzo Dlamini, Parliament.
The World Health Organization has handed over road safety auditor certificates to different officers from government ministries, including police, health, among others, who attended road safety auditors workshop. The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Public Works and Transport, Tulane Mkalipi, says all along there was one road safety auditor in the country.
Eswatini now has 9 road safety auditors. The Ministry of Public Works and Transport Principal Secretary Tulane Mkalipi says some of the accidents are caused by roads that are in bad conditions.
To what extent are the tires and, the surface of the road is interacting to each other, to ensure that when the car moves, it really grips firmly on the road. And then those kind of things, they require some investment into it. But I think, again, we just need to raise those kind of issues, to the levels where it's a prevention kind of thing.
World Health Organization country representative Dr. Godfrey Bisapora says the training of the road safety auditors will lessen accidents on the road.
So this was an excellent team bringing people, this team of 8 people from the different sectors, so that we can form a functional team, not a structural team, because we know they are coming from different sectors, road council, the different ministries, but a functional team that works together.
Speaking on behalf of the newly trained road safety auditors is Sandile Gama. He says they have observed some of the country's roads, giving assurance that they will deliver on their mandate.
Solo sibuyile nje siwendile ma-audits ngekwehlukana kwemigwaqo.
The road safety auditors attended the workshop in South Africa and lasted for about a month. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla, with Sikumbuzo Dlamini Mbabane.
The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Bekthamba Gama, says they still stand by their word that learners should not travel long distances to get to school. Gama was asked as to what causes the delay of the construction of Majano High School, which was promised a couple of years ago. At the moment, learners travel about 10 to 15 kilometers to get to the nearest high school after completing grade 7 at Majano Primary.
A couple of years ago, the Minister of Education promised the construction of Majana High School at the Kapunga area, which will relieve learners from traveling long distances to get to the nearest high school after completing grade 7 at Majana Primary School. The learners are said to be traveling about 10 to 15 kilometers in the absence of a nearest high school. The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Peggy Kama, when asked what causes the delay, cited burden in inaccessible roads, amongst other things, but said they are aware of the proposed construction of the high school.
We faced a few challenges. We did promise the community that we will assist as a ministry in building the school. We had actually approached one of our development partners who is building schools around the country, and when they went to inspect the place, they found that it's not easily accessible. So that's how it lost out last year. Actually, we're hoping the construction would, at least maybe the site, one of the sites where schools will be built, using that with that development partner. So currently we are also trying to negotiate with Ingundla through the RDF to assist in starting with a couple of classes, or 2 or 3 classes basically, and so that we can maybe staff teachers' houses.
He says they still stand by their objective that learners shouldn't travel longer distances to get to school. Reporting MKNMC with Smova Shongwe, Emachane.
The Consumer Forum chairperson Mandla Njagala says despite the noticeable strides made by government to ensure consumer protection, consumers are still faced with challenges such as inflation. The chairperson has been speaking on the World Consumer Day, which is celebrated on the 15th of March.
Every year on March 15, member states under the United Nations commemorate World Consumer Day to sensitize governments on the importance of consumer protection. Chairperson of the Eswatini Consumer Forum, Mandla Njagala, unpacked challenges still faced by consumers in the country.
We have noted the problem which is encountered by consumers in the country, more especially the quality of the products. Unfortunately, here in Swaziland, we still lack a strong standards body that will address that issue.
Consumer Protection Manager at the Eswatini Competition Commission, Linda Dlamini, says the commission is currently undergoing an exercise of sensitizing Emaswati on their consumer rights.
What we're doing this year is to go out to the communities, the various towns where we can actually have a face-to-face interaction with the consumers so that we can be able also to teach them what are their rights and what are their obligations.
Consumer rights as per the United Nations include right to information and right to quality standards. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I am Samkal Suekoza with Fuminko Sinsinisa Babane.
Following a close meeting with organizers of the Israel Pilgrimage Tour on Monday, the 13th of March 2023, at the headquarters in Babane, the Ministry of Home Affairs notifies all Israel Pilgrimage Tour international passport applicants that their international passports application and issuance has been temporarily halted pending submission of certain documents by Universal Peace Federation UPF, the organizers. The meeting came as a result of high volumes of international passports application by church leaders who intend to travel to Israel. However, the applicants did not meet certain requirements to acquire such document. Consequently, the ministry engaged the organizers of the tour and were requested to furnish the office with the outstanding documents in order to finalize their application process. The ministry wishes to state clear that the organizers have failed to comply with requirements set by the Immigration Office. Therefore, it is for that reason that the ministry, together with the organizers, found it reasonable to stop the tour until all documents are sorted. The ministry wishes to state that it values the importance of the tour to the Church of Christ. Thus, it will continue to engage UPF until the matter is resolved expeditiously. The statement is by Nhlanhla Nxumalo, the Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Home Affairs. NMC CEO Mavela Vilane says as a company they are committed to support small agricultural organizations so that they can reach their full potential. Vilane was speaking at Tekebeni when NMC was donating 70 kg of seeds and fertilizer to Luganganana Women in Farming Organization.
The Lukanganana Women in Farming is an organization of 38 women at Kebeni area who have a dream to grow in their organization through farming watermelon, sweet potato and beans. There have been challenges which hindered their growth. The National Maize Corporation came through and donated 70 kg of seeds and bags of fertilizer. The NMC CEO Mavela Vilane says they commit themselves in supporting the organization.
Committed NMC njengoba ngishito ukuthi sibone umkhiqido wembila nemabhontshisi ukhula even la kangwane nekuthi eMaswati ayithole nawo imarket yawo le fair yalombila kithi kungathi nje senikuvunile senihleli nako.
Ndondo's Member of Parliament Moses Vilagadi says as in the Inkundla they will support the organization's growth now and again. The organization's chairperson Cindy Msibi says they face challenges like inadequate water supply to water their plants. She says they are grateful for NMC's donation.
Sito siyacela kakhulu ngoba lena site mandi site fenis nalenzawo yethu inetihlahla idzingathi sigubhe letihlahla laphasi.
Inkosikati Thandikhumalo says despite old age many are hard workers.
Bakhulile kodwa labantu labadzala bakhombisa inshisekelo babe CEO ngilokutaka kwenda kuthi nawe usabuyele ekhaya ubone ukuthi ushiye abantu labadzala labatimisele ngekuvuka bete kulendzawo batozama kusebenta.
The organization is less than a year old. However, they promise to explore different vegetables, all with funds permitting. Reporting, I am Kian Msibi with Smuva Shongwe, Ekebeni.
Small Enterprises Development Company SEDCO has noted that most young entrepreneurs lack skills to grow their businesses. This observation is made by SEDCO training manager Sibusiso Musi during the training of 20 young entrepreneurs that are competing in the MTN SEDCO Cijang business.
Small Enterprises Development Corporation SEDCO training manager Sibusiso Musi speaks about some of the skills young entrepreneurs lack in growing their businesses.
Most of the participants, they lack skills in record keeping. They're not able to maintain and keep up-to-date books of record. And another problem that we've identified is that they don't have fixed wages or salaries.
The young entrepreneurs who are competing in the MTN SEDCO Cijang business say they have benefited a lot from the training, starting from bookkeeping and pricing.
You have to know the business official books, which are business planning. You have to plan your business before you execute it.
Kunengle ngibone khona ema mistake lengwendile lokho ngisite kakhulu ngale training ngisite ukuthi ngikhonile ukuthola lwati more about ngale business ukuthi asengihambe ngiyolungisa 1 2 3 ngebusiness yami kakhulu nje ngingagcina emabhuku sengiyakhona yokwenda kahle ama records ngidobona ukuthi ngenda iloss or nya benefits kulokule business lengendawo.
Utangisita ngokuthi sengidakhona ukudibalela ukuthi i-break even ukuthi i-costing nangikhona ukucharge al-customer lami ukuthi i-customer lami ngalichaja kanjani ngingathi khanje ukuthi mina sengichaje ngephasi noma sengilichaje kakhulu.
On Friday, 5 entrepreneurs from the ongoing MTN SEDCO Cijang business workshop will be selected and given a seed capital of 10,000 emalangeni each. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla with Vuminkosi Nzinisa Manzini.
Dear viewers, now take a short commercial break. Up next will be the financial updates.
At Spar, we worked hard to get you low prices on great products every day. Like 1.5-liter Coca-Cola regular, buy 2 for only 32 emalangeni, and Lifebuoy hygiene soap, buy any 3 for just 36 emalangeni. It's low prices for you every day at Spar.
It can be.
Eswatini TV. In our sports roundup, we begin with athletics, where the chairman of the Eswatini Athletics Commission, Sibusiso Matsenjwa, has encouraged youngsters in athletics to keep on working hard as there are opportunities of getting scholarships in European countries where the sport is now practiced as a profession. Matsenjwa revealed this after his two-day African Athletics Forum meeting in Algeria this past weekend.
Chairman of Eswatini Athletics Commission, Sibusiso Matsenjwa, who recently attended the African Athletics Forum in Algeria from the 11th to the 12th of March this year. He says different opportunities of developing youngsters and be able to take them to international stages are already opened.
So sikhulumile wabasivetela nema opportunities la available to assist ama-athlete through le activity grant lekhona lesiyithola kanye ngeminyaka, which is $10,000 la senda khona ama-activities awo ema-athlete. In terms of kuwakhulumisa sibe ne-forum yethu thina as nationally sikhulume tona indaba leti affectayo as ama-athlete sibuke nokuthi singasizakala kanjani.
Matsenjwa, in the two-day meeting, he was alongside his assistant Phumulile Nziniza. The duo was applauded by different senior officials in the athletics industry during the meeting for the work they have done for Eswatini in athletics internationally. Moving on in motorsports, Eswatini Motorsports has started urging local motorsport stars to start dreaming a future in Formula One following the Formula E Championship hosted successfully in Cape Town in South Africa.
So to see that they've come back to Africa is very exciting. And in all fairness to them, they are looking at African countries to host such events. But as we all know, it's the cost of setting up the infrastructure that is very prohibitive. So should we find the correct partners, maybe one day we will be one of the first small countries in Africa to host a Formula One event.
And in our international news, Morocco, they have announced their bid of willing to host the 2030 FIFA World Cup and co-host alongside the likes of Portugal and Spain. Lastly, in France, President Emmanuel Macron has launched the 500 days countdown to the 2024 Paris Olympic Games as a way of also encouraging the country to begin preparations of the Games. A budget of 1.4 billion was mentioned by Macron in preparations for trying to clean and get the city of Paris ready to host the Games. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabrice Msondera, Mbabane.
That is all we had for tonight, but before we wrap up, we'll take a quick recap of today's headlines. The Minister of ICT says there must be a multi-country collaboration on issues of ICT, which will help grow the telecommunications sector in the SADC region. High Court Judge Justice Maxine Langwenya has sentenced former Minister of Public Works and Transport, Lutuko Dlamini, to 65 years behind bars. The Deputy Speaker, Madala Mhlanga, has welcomed back to the House Matsanjeni South Member of Parliament, Honorable Bomba Mamba, following his successful bail application at the High Court. That brings us to the end of our news bulletin tonight. Up next is the weather forecast for selected towns. Good night, Eswatini.
Kulesigaba lesiniso lamathuba emisebenzi abanjwe yini alahleke kuphi senda kanjani sifuka kanjani kuze sifike le kulo number 1
inkulumo yenkosi solo ngiyiphethe ngiyathi nangihamba la ndleleni ngihle ngivula ngithi ngidawukhanzisha injini ngifunze